This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a near perfect start to a winter's morning. Not only is the sun about to come up and it's a beautiful temperature, but we have fresh tracks for a little female leopard that is moving up the road and past camp. So I'd imagine that these tracks are for Tlalamba, and like I say, it's the near perfect way to start a morning, because we'll be able to follow these as they go up the road, and hopefully we'll have some success on this, your very own live African safari. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Djuma on a what can only be described as a beautiful, crisp winter's morning. It's actually not that cold, no gloves, so not too bad, and the weather seems perfect. We have tracks for a leopard, so it's all the good things. But before we get into all of that, my name's Tristan. On camera, I've got Morgan, and we are coming to you live from South Africa, from obviously Djuma, as well as various other locations across South Africa. So if you want to get involved and you would like to ask some questions, or you would like to send in some comments, you can do so using the hashtag WildEarth on the Twitter world, and you can use @FC on the YouTube chat stream, as well as on any of the other platforms that we're on. Remember, kids, you can send your questions through to kidquestions@wildearth.tv. So that will be a big help if you guys do all of that. We certainly will then be able to try and answer and basically chat about anything that you guys want to. Now, I have already lost the tracks, which is not great, but is the way it goes. I just want to quickly check up ahead slightly, and then it'll be easier to turn around there and come back down. They might have gone up Gallagher shortcut, further to the north. If it's Tlalamba, which I think it should be, she's back on the road here, then the track should head kind of here and then cut northwards. She likes to use Aubrey's Road these days, but we'll just double check here that she hasn't turned south. Morgan, you see any tracks turning south there? No, because the tracks are going dead straight in the road. I can see them. Don't worry. Luckily you didn't say yes, because I would have laughed at you if you had. It was a test, Morgan, and you passed. Well done. So the tracks are still just going straight up the road here. She might have turned there by the looks of things. Morgan, it's another test. I'm blind. You blind? Don't be blind, Morgan. I'll back you. But I'm pretty sure she went there. So yeah, we'll try and follow these tracks, and hopefully we'll have some luck. I know Lauren's going to try and do the hyena dens and see if they potentially are working this morning. Well, hyena den, should I say. Sorry guys, I know I'm doing back and forward and seem like I'm a bit preoccupied, but it's just to try and figure out where actually these things go. Okay, here she is here. So she must have just carried on straight. She did carry on straight. No wonder I didn't see the track, it was under the car. And here, that doesn't make any sense because it's not here anymore. Did she cut off? So the track was going dead straight on the road, unless somebody's driven here already this morning, which I suppose is possible if maybe the staff went out. Maybe that's, yeah, it's back on the road now that I can see it. I think there's a car that's driven over this. It must be the staff transfer that went out this morning. James, I agree. Let's find some spots. So yesterday was a bit of a dire afternoon for me. I followed quite a number of leopard tracks, but most of them off the property, which was not ideal. So it's nice to have some fresh little leopard tracks going up the road here. So hopefully we can find whoever this is. Obviously the dynamics at the moment are very, very interesting and very kind of complicated with all of our leopards. It's making for kind of unusual movements in a few ways, and it's also making for interesting viewing, because basically we've just got this crush of individuals in the area, and that's making for kind of all kinds of different behavior from our different cats. But we'll get into that as we go. In the meantime, though, it's that time of the day where you guys get to see what the weather will be during the course of the morning.
We have just arrived at Treehouse Dam, and we've just missed the elephants. They've had a drink. You can see the water is completely disturbed. You can obviously see when something's been in the water, and they're moving off. It's cold, remember, so they need to drink, but other than that, they're not going to spend much time around the water hole. They're going to feed, because of course, feeding keeps you nice and warm. I am definitely not warm right now, that's for sure. But my name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera this morning. And we came to Treehouse Dam and got the best surprise. I'm wondering if we can move around and catch them on the other road, Davy. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yes, I think we're going to catch them. My plan, actually, I'm racing to the hyena den. And then I saw the elephants. And I've told Tristan he must stay away from the hyena den. He is not allowed to go. I'm going to sit there for as long as I honestly can and try and catch some action. You're all asking about hearts, cubs, and I don't have the answer. But at least if we sit... Good morning. At least if we sit there for a little while, it may not be the most interesting of segments, but at least we have a chance of picking up on some activity. I can talk about termite mounds and anything else you wish me to talk about, but that's the plan. Once we get past these elephants, we'll spend a little bit of time with them. We're going to go to the old Nisi Kaya and lurk from the boundary. So on Tima yesterday, saw some cubs, but I wasn't able to identify them. So activity is happening on Guy Remain. It's a really good place to just sit and see. And then maybe we'll get some answers. It's all about patience. Remember the days where we used to sit and sit and sit and sit some more. Remember those days, Davy, waiting to see Ribbon's cubs. And it always pays off. And I think we need answers on Pumela and Gingarika. I've heard mixed reports. I've heard that Gingarika has been seen a lot and no Pumela. But I also heard Trishala say not so long ago that she has in fact seen Pumela. So I'm not sure if they are both around now, but I want to know. Look how tattered this elephant's ear is in the edges. You see that? Morgan and I had the most wonderful elephant sighting yesterday. It was so wonderful, and it's just nice to have them around. I think we're going to go around Dobby and see if we can catch up with the rest of the herd. They were moving fast. Excuse me, everyone. Wendy is... she's a temperamental little bunny. Sometimes. But we're all good. They're walking very fast. They did not hang around us, Dan. Andrew, Treehouse Dam, there used to actually be a treehouse there a very long time ago, a house in the trees. You know, those wooden kind that you love when you're a kid? But it's not there anymore. You can see, if you look, you can see where the treehouse used to be. There's a few nuts and bolts and planks. But other than that, oh, there's a youngster. Other than that, the treehouse is no longer there. But of course, the dam itself is still called Treehouse. And I think it was a lookout point. Is that right, Dov?
No, just a treehouse.
It was just a treehouse. Someone obviously used it at some point in time. Oh, isn't this lovely? Do everything Mum does, and that's how you learn. Mum feeds on this particular grass, We're going to feed on it too. Mum eats these leaves, we're going to eat it too. Mum walks in this manner, we're going to do the same. Mum gets angry when she sees a hyena. I'm also going to get angry when I see a hyena. Look at those back legs. Learning through observation, as most mammals do. You hear the starlings. Okay, I agree. Being surrounded by feeding elephants. Even if you can't see them, okay, you can still hear them just crunching. I think this one's pregnant after you see her. This one to the right. You see that? Elephants are always bulbous at the side, but this is particularly bulbous, very low-hanging mammary glands. Much lower than normal. Wonder if we can see movement. The mammary glands are obviously full, but they look slightly different when an elephant's pregnant, and you can't see them right now. But they've taken on that sort of low-hanging appearance. But yes, Kay, feeding elephants is just the best. They're happy, they're relaxed, they're getting their breakfast. You see how wide she is? I mean, elephants are wide, but she's a huge female right now. You see that? Isn't that wonderful? Just from her mammary glands, her walking and the size, I feel like she could be getting ready to give birth. Obviously, the gestation period for an elephant is really long, but when they're ready to give birth, their entire body sort of changes a little bit, of course, because it's accommodating the fact that it's about to give birth. I think she's very close to the end of her pregnancy. It's a really long investment, 22 months. Okay, I'm just going to really slowly drive along here in case there's elephants feeding closely to the road, and we'll try and keep up with this herd. We are spending our morning in the most delightful way following a herd of elephants. Now, they're moving very fast. I'm going to try and see if I can catch up with them and give you some glorious views of these great big mammals. I mean, there's one on the road right now, but we're going to try and get a little bit closer. They've all gone into the drainage. And here's one here, dog. And they're such noisy but magnificent animals to watch that we're actually just going to sit here and watch them as they feed. elephants have moved off, but look at that sunrise. Wow. It's almost beautiful. The morning has well and truly begun.
Right, so we're still on the tracks for Kalamba, and I say Kalamba because she's walking the exact route that I thought she would. She went up Aubrey's and she's now turning the 5 brake, and I expect her to cut over into Buffelshoek at the signboards here. So we'll just follow this along and see what happens. She might turn from here, but I'm hoping she's lying on the road somewhere or kind of settling down. We'll be able to catch her. Her tracks are good, but she's been missioning. She's not been sitting still. She's on a territorial, I don't know what you would call it with Kalamba, run at this stage. Looks like she's overstepping a little bit, so her back foot is over her front foot, which means she's walking with speed, and she's walking without stopping. There's not much scent marking that I've seen her doing on the way. She's done a few here and there, but nothing crazy. Just want to check here. I thought I saw a track going across. Nope, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Pretty sure she's going to come out here on this road. It'll give us a good indication of how fresh they are. Unfortunately, this road, this little section, and going north are used a lot very early in the morning because Marcel goes and sorts out the batteries at Longpole. So he could very easily have clipped these tracks on his way through, which will make life a little bit tricky, but we'll figure it out. So I expect her to have crossed here somewhere. Come on, girl. Where are your tracks? Hyena, 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 hyena. Nothing there. If she does come in, she normally takes this left road here, so let's just check if there's nothing on this road. Yeah, there she goes there. Okay, so she's going straight, going up. Her tracks are just going straight up the road. If you have a look, I'll try and put them on for Morgan there. You can see that she's just on the left side of the road there. For those of you hopefully that can see, you'll maybe pick up the tracks. It can be a bit tricky, but they're dead center. Morgan is one. You can just see the toes and the back of the pad come down a little bit. There we go. So that's what we're looking for when we're driving, is we're just looking for a change in the tire track. You can see the tire track on either side, and that foot actually changes the pattern of the tires. So when you're driving along and you're not doing what I'm doing, which is mostly looking out the side of the car because we're already on the track, but when you're trying to spot them, you're looking for that change in tire track. All right, I'm going to keep following these. Let's see where they go. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to JP so he can say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Wild Earth. We're live at Eco Trading Prylands and we're out on bushwalk. It's an icy cold morning and the sun is just about popping up above the horizon. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Paul. So the big tree that is in front of the sun at the moment is a weeping boerbean. It's probably one of the largest weeping boerbeans I've actually seen. And at this time of the morning, one of our favourite activities is to indulge in a cup of coffee. So coming back to why coffee in the tree, originally it used to always be used in a traditional way of making coffee, where the seeds would be roasted and then used for alternative for coffee. The name weeping also comes from the fact that the tree produces copious amounts of nectar that will tend to drop down to the ground and then appear to be weeping or raining. It's also often created by spittle bugs, that there's large amounts of moisture being dropped from the tree, which is where the tree also gets its name from, weeping boerewien. We're just going to enjoy that sunrise, and then from there on we're going to move on. We're going to end up making a little circular route in this area and eventually coming back towards the dam a little bit later on in the morning when things have heated up. And meanwhile, we're just going to provide you all with the opportunity to enjoy the silence of nature and the other sounds that are coming through as everybody is waking up. We're going to start moving off and go and see what we can find. Let's go and have a look at what Lauren is up to.
Well, we've made it to the good old termite mound on Gowrie Main. I don't see many hyena tracks. Normally you see a lot of fresh tracks coming in and out of this pathway. I don't hear anything. And sadly, my nostrils are frozen. I could smell Swazi in camp last night. The boys couldn't, but he came to say hi. He walked right into our communal area, and whew, that smell is not pleasant. It's not as bad as a brown hyena, but it's not pleasant. I think what we should do, Davi, they've been running up and down to Baboon Pan. Let's just keep patrolling this area and see if we spot any cub tracks. Cub tracks are really, really small. See, there's absolutely nothing on Gowrie Main. Now, vehicles will have already driven this road, but there's not a single hyena track. Oh, wait, I lie, there's one. I'm going to show you. Let me see if I can position correctly. Can you see these tracks over here, Davi, from here? And I'm going to jump out and show you guys the tiny little cub tracks. I hope Davi can get a view from here. Look at this one. This is a tiny hyena track. Can you see it? It's a little bit difficult because it's going down a slope. 100% hyena. Immediately you know that. Look at the shape. Rather than being like a cat, which is almost in the shape of an oyster shell. You know, this sort of shape almost goes out like that. You see the mermaids sitting on these beautiful shells. Whereas a hyena, it's slightly more oblong, rectangular when you draw a boundary around it. And naturally, you see the claws, of course. We know that. Now, that's a cub. It's one of the bigger cubs. This is a not fresh track, I must say. It's definitely not fresh, but this looks like it could be an adult. There's many different tracks here, and none of them are fresh. Adult cup. Cup is tiny. Smaller than my pinky. So there's definitely been a lot of hyena activity here, but none of these tracks are fresh, I'm afraid. Doesn't mean they're not here. Sometimes they may cross. What they have been doing is crossing at Baboon Pan and walking through the thicket rather than walking up and down Gowrie Main. So I think we're going to try and check Gowrie Main. Juma clan, you are not escaping me today. No matter how hard they try, they're not going to get away from me. And believe it or not, just like a lion with the winter coloration, this barren landscape is so monotonous. Look, there's absolutely no tone or sort of colour palette. It's just monotonous. The hyenas blend in very well. It's not as easy to spot them as it is in summer against that real emerald colour. Okay, everyone, I'm going to continue my search and hopefully I get lucky with any member of the Juma clan.
As one of the industry's best and Fagasa-endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a Fagasa accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the #1 aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
A very good morning to everyone and welcome to and beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve, where we're being treated again to these two cheetah that we were with yesterday. My name is Dean and behind the camera we've got Johan, and as the viewers that were with us yesterday would notice that it's the same two cheetah we were with and pretty much in the same area. They've only moved about 10 meters to the south of where they were, and it's really good to see them still in the same area. I had a feeling they wouldn't move too far. They did have a nyala carcass yesterday, so they had full bellies, and there's a water source here, so not much of a reason for them to actually move from this area. Same as yesterday, still very, very alert, as they normally are. You'll also notice actually how they're lying. The one's facing one direction and the other one's actually facing sort of the opposite direction, and that's just to give them a good all-round awareness. Olivia's asking a great question. She's asking, are cheetah opportunistic? They definitely are. A good example was, I'll refer back to yesterday, literally as they finished that carcass to the right of where they are now, about 100 meters, they were walking away and the cub actually spotted an impala walking past and straight away went into full stalk mode. It was only a half attempt. There were also wildebeest that spotted them, but yeah, classic cats, very opportunistic. So they'll always give something a good bash if they can, if the opportunity presents itself. So definitely very opportunistic. I've actually seen cheetah try and chase jackal before, which is not part of their normal prey, but you know, it was there and it was moving. Very skittish this morning. There's quite a strong wind coming across, and that would be putting them a little bit more on edge. Anna Marie was saying it's so great to see cheetah on Pinder. It most definitely is. They're such special animals. They really are. I must be honest, these are probably, I don't really have favorites. But if I did, it would probably be these two. I absolutely love these two. They always seem like they're up to something. It's a mom and her daughter. And it's quite interesting to see how mom fills that sort of sibling role also with her daughter. Very playful. If the daughter climbs a dead tree, mom's not far behind. So sort of acting like a friend, along with being a guardian. Very cute to see. Black Widow Spider's asking, is this the only cub that she had? No, she did have another male. We sadly lost. I think it might have been to lions, if I'm not mistaken. So she lost the one cub. And that sort of goes back to what I was saying a bit earlier. They've got to be quite careful, quite vigilant to other predators, and they've got to have a good awareness. They don't really completely relax ever. Other predators like lions and leopards would definitely like to take them out. It's competition for food, and instinct is to eliminate all other competition. You can just, it's quite soft, but the cub has just started purring. Yeah, quite a soft purr, and we're about 10-15 meters away. Yeah, I know, it's quite a windy day today, especially in the western side of the reserve, where it's got these open grasslands with these rolling hills. When the wind picks up, you really feel it here in these open areas. I'm sure at some point today, maybe when the sun comes up, it's when these two cheetah will look to stop moving, maybe move into another area. Cheetahs obviously being more active during the day compared to the other cats like leopards and lions. Background there, you can see the mountains and the rolling hills I was talking about earlier. Chris is asking how long will the cubs stay with their mom. Around 18 months, the cubs will probably move away from mom. So I think this cub's got about another maybe 4 or 5 months until it looks to leave mom. The sun is about to break the horizon of that. Horizon of the mountain just behind us, or sorry, rather just in front of us. Oh, nice yawn from mom. So we'll make your way as a third. We did touch on it yesterday about that mantle, that fluff of hair down the back of the cub's head and neck. and we didn't really get a good shot for me to explain what I was talking about. And from this angle you can see what I mean. You can see how that fluffy hair is now run from the back of the head right down between the two shoulders and onto the back. And as a cub gets older, it'll start to lose that. When they're very young, they'll have that fluff of hair. It's actually a lot lighter when they're cubs. Run all the way down to pretty much to the tail. And when they're very young and mom stashes them in the long grass, that just helps them blend in a lot better. The same way lion cubs would have pretty much covered in spots when they're very young. It's just to help them blend in a little bit more when they're more vulnerable. Every now and then, both of them actually stare off to the right there. They've got quite a good vantage point over here. It's high up on the hill. They can scan everything down in the valley. There might be some impala or even nyala down there in the thickets. I see there's a wildebeest actually just to the right of that marula there. I only noticed now, just over there, I only noticed now its head move. There it is. Something like a big wildebeest like that, probably a little bit out of the reach of these two cheetah. Possibly a male, maybe two males might be able to, but for these two, probably a little bit out of their reach. But like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think what these two cheetah will get up to is wait for the sun to come up and they might get on the move. But for now, I think they're waiting for that sun to come up and warm up a little bit.
Driving on a boundary line right now, searching for lion tracks. There's a pride that a lot of people want to locate this morning. So we're going to do our bit by just driving. I've got my body sort of hanging out of the door a little bit, which is what we do when we're looking for tracks on the ground. But this light, this morning light, is very, very easy to pick up tracks and signs of animals, especially an entire pride. So join me on this little bumble as we search furiously for signs of the lions. To a junction like this, you should always check both ways in case anybody's walking. It's often how you find animals, by just looking. I'm going to continue my search up and down this road looking for the lions.
morning and thank you for joining us here on our morning safari at Tswalu Kalahari. My name's John. I'm going to be your guide for the morning. Behind the camera we have our expert cameraman Gerrit. So hopefully we have a great morning on a rather chilly Kalahari morning. So as you can see, we are already driving. For the morning, we were thinking of just doing a more general bumble. Ideally trying to get out of the wind. Again, the wind is howling here this morning. It's a sign that there's some cold weather coming in the next few days, which we know is coming. But it should die down soon and the animals should become a little bit more active. But for now, we're going to head out and see who is up and about, and hopefully there's some excitement on the horizon. Timothy, that is an excellent question, and unfortunately wind is the one feature that does make it a bit more difficult to find wildlife. And I've mentioned it before, it's not so much even the temperature that comes with this wind, because it is rather chilly this morning. So it's not necessary that the weather's a bit cooler. You know, these animals have adapted to that. But what the wind does is it knocks out your sense of smell and it knocks out your hearing, and makes it incredibly difficult for animals to protect themselves. You know, without those two senses, they're going to feel incredibly vulnerable. And by nature, what they should be doing then is looking for a more protected area to go and wait out the wind. An area where their hearing and their sense of smell is relieved a little bit, and they can hear things and smell things around them. So for protecting themselves, unfortunately, a lot of animals will move to any kind of cover they can, whether it be thickets of bush or just protected, you know, almost like protected valleys, mountain slopes, things like that. Having said that, nature always surprises us, so we will never say that it's going to completely stop us from seeing anything, but we'll see how the morning goes. So as I said, we've just started. We're gonna keep heading out, and for now we're gonna go across to JP on his bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. Just busy looking at a termite mound, and these are absolutely amazing structures, and if we think of them, and that they say it's just a tiny portion of it that is actually above the ground. The remainder of this is all below the ground. And we also find that there's tunnels that radiate sometimes up to 100 meters away from these termite mounds. It's also interesting that these structures are regulated by temperature, and it's actually the termites that regulate the temperature inside the termite mounds by opening and closing vents to maintain a consistent temperature. We also find that the termite mounds in general is on its broadest on the east and western axis, and that they tend to tip slightly towards the northern axis, and this is that they can obtain the most sun throughout the day as well. This specific termite mound is actually becoming a little bit dilapidated and old. It seems as if it's become dysfunctional, which means that the queen has died, and that it's lost all its genetic material as well as its ability to continually be active. Something else what we see when they do become inactive like this, they're no longer smooth on the outside. And we'll also notice that a large number of different reptiles will actually start utilizing these termite mounds. And there's quite often snakes, as well as species such as water and rock monitors that will utilize them. However, water and rock monitors also use live termite mounds, and they often dig into the side of the termite mounds, and then they will lay their eggs inside there and allow the temperature of the termite mound to incubate their eggs. And then obviously the termites also provide one of the first meals for these young little monitor lizards when they hatch. Some of the other animals that we often find associating with these termite mounds that is falling apart is also dwarf mongoose, which is one of the smallest carnivores that we have in Africa. These little guys will weigh less than 200 grams, and quite often we'll also notice that they are present at a specific termite mound by looking for their scat or the fecal matter that they leave behind. And they tend to specifically focus on defecating on the eastern side of the termite mound when they stand there in the morning heating up. We're going to continue and go and see what else we can go and find. And meanwhile, we're going to hand you back to Pinda, who's got a cheetah.
Welcome back, everyone, to and Beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. We're just like these cheetah, we're also waiting for the sun to break the crest of that mountain. Still with these two cheetah. Mom's also lying down next to her cub. You can see they're quite close to each other, trying to huddle up, trying to warm up a little bit. It's quite cold without the sun and this wind coming across, so I think they're just trying to get what warmth they can.
So you'll see the head slowly start to drop like that as well. They are in and out of contact. But I think it's becoming so windy this morning. Maybe it starts to warm up. Make the honey a bit.
This guy's asking, is facing opposite directions a pretty common safety sort of tactic? It definitely is. Oh, there's another vehicle joining us that might have given him a bit of a fright, but yeah, it definitely is. They've got a lot more awareness. They can see right round. If something was to try and come and sneak up on them on either side, they would both then be aware. So definitely a common safety tactic. Lovely to see that beautiful spot pattern. Cheetahs, different to leopards where they've got solid round or roundish spots. And leopard would have sort of that, what they call rosette patterns. Many, sort of a couple of spots in a circle. Beautiful with those smaller spots around the face and the cheek, with those sort of teardrop marks, those black markings down the side of the face, from the inside of the eye to the outside of the mouth. think of the next.
Suspended above Kenya's Masai Mara is a breathtaking lodge where unrivaled service goes hand in hand with extraordinary wildlife sightings. Ngama Mara offers a quiet place where guests have the opportunity to reconnect with the world again. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of July, and you and a friend could win a 3-night stay at this award-winning lodge. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at Wild Earth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
I have lots of updates for you. Firstly, I found a herd of buffalo. Again on Cheetah Cut Line. I feel like this is the same herd. They crossed into Djuma, and now they're crossing back out of Djuma into Torchwood. I have no way of proving it's the same herd, but it's a similar location, huge numbers. Secondly, the Nkuhuma Pride have crossed into Torchwood, so I've been scratching around looking for them to see if they crossed over in Cheetah Cut Line. Now they haven't, so they're still on Torchwood. I think they're following these buffalo. Now we have had an update, and it's a bit of a difficult one, but one of the young males in Nkuhuma Pride, his leg is... I don't even know how to describe it. It's not good, and I can't show you the photo, I'm afraid. It's on my phone. But he's in a bad way, and people are wanting to locate him just to have a look at him and see what's going on. You can see his tracks. If we see them, I'll show you. He's lagging far behind the pride. But immediately you can see his tracks. It's a young male, and he's dragging this leg. So it's really obvious. There's also blood in the tracks as well. So I know that's really sad, but let's wait before we sort of panic, and I'm hoping that I can find them. I need to scratch around Torchwood, the sort of southern section, but that's all good. That's covered by signal now. And I think these lions are following this herd. They're somewhere. Whether the young males managed to keep up with them or not, I don't know. I know his tracks are lagging far behind. They crossed over from Cheetah Plains. But these predators are robust. They really are. They bounce back. We've seen hyenas survive with 2 legs. We've seen lions survive with a broken leg. They are robust. But I think it would be good to get a look at them. You see, this is a mixed herd. The big boys with the females, with the youngsters. Do you want me to move forward, Davy? I think that would be a jolly good idea. closer. Now, the Nkohomas were on a buffalo kill a few days ago, but as I say, that was a few days ago. And I don't believe they've killed anything substantial or anything large since then, so they're probably hungry. And this herd of buffalo, they're noisy. They're smelly. And they're not exactly small. Look at these guys lying down, Davy. Can you see them? They're actually quite camouflage on the dark soil, on the fire break. You're taking it easy over there. There's a lovely female walking in now. You really can see the difference between male and females. Kululeko, they are dangerous. 100%. You do not want to mess with buffalo. Look at that view. How are you loving that, Dobby? But this is a female, and from a distance it's tricky to tell, but when you see them together, the females are just that little bit more slimline. The genitalia is obviously very obvious in the male. You can see we've got a male to the left here, and it really hangs in the sort of centre of the belly. That's the genitalia, at least part of the genitalia. And if you don't see that, you see this female here. She looks really slimline. She's coming to check us out. Hello, beautiful. You look gorgeous today. And you see the horns. They're very white. Her horns are very white, but they're slim. She's got quite a... Her horn boss is not large and bulky and cumbersome. It sort of sits really neatly on her head. You see that? It's not meeting in the middle. You can just tell from her features she's female. A lot of textbooks will tell you can differentiate between the sexes with the coloration. I personally can't do that. I don't see it. Really, I don't. The coloration differs in ages. They're sort of more chestnutty, rufous when they're young, and they go very dark brown when they're old. But between the sexes, I really don't see a difference. It's in the horn shape, it's in the horn boss, body shape, and then obviously you can see the genitalia. You are such a pretty lady, you. You guys better be careful. I think the Nkohomas are close by. She's checking you out, Davy. Bandit, they actually have leaders. So with buffalo, it's all about sort of status. And the more dominant ones, these larger individuals, are the ones that I guess you could term leaders as such. And it's not really necessarily that they're leading the herd, but they are the ones that get priority. So it's all to do with rank, and the more dominant individuals actually feed ahead of the rest of the herd. So I guess they are leading, but they're actually trying to get those non-trampled pastures. That vegetation that hasn't already been trampled by the rest of the herd. I mean, who would want to eat that? And they also have that privileged position of being best protected from predators. They're either in the front or in the centre. And of course, if you're a high-ranked bull, then you're getting the advantage of easy access to a cow and estrus. So it's all to do with your rank, and you're the ones that get to walk ahead. You're not trying to lead directly, you're trying to get the better pastures, but I guess indirectly you are leading. And the rank in bulls, at least, all comes down to a product of their fighting ability, which is proportional to age and in size. So the larger you are, the older you are, and the better fighter you are. And then therefore you will be the most dominant bull who gets that better position in the herd. It's already at 7:30. As much as I want to stay with the buffalo, I feel like we should just scratch around in case the Nkuhumas are right behind them in Torchwood. Their last tracks were seen really not too far away from here, so they're in the area. And it's winter, it's cold, it's not warm. I've still got all my layers on, which means predators will be mobile. They won't be flat in the grass as they would be on a really hot, sticky summer's day. Okay, I think I'm gonna loop around. We had Tandy here the other day, so we're gonna be all good. But I think it's gonna be worth looking for signs of the lions. Literally everyone wants an update on the Nkuhumas. And we can at least do our part and give it. I'm just gonna do a small loop just around here, go up and then come behind the buffalo and see if we can see any signs of them. But it's absolutely no coincidence that they're in the same area as the buffalo. It's not a coincidence at all. How many Juma stations in Torchwood? Crossing into Torchwood. Good morning, Impala. Toot toot, coming through. After you. Look at him taking his time. Okay, I'm going to cross into Torchwood now, as you just heard, and do my very best to look for some signs of the lions.
So welcome back to Tswalu. We are still bumbling around. As of yet, it has been rather quiet. A couple of oryx on the horizon. But the good news is the sun is finally up over the mountains. You can see how the light has changed. The color of the grasses are glowing again. And we are now enjoying a little bit of warmth coming through. With that, we should definitely be starting to see a few animals, and already I can see a lone wildebeest standing out enjoying the sun. So there you can see the first of our antelope for the morning. A nice territorial wildebeest bull out on his own, because he is protecting his area that he's set up as his personal territory. When it comes to animals like wildebeest, they defend a piece of ground, and with that in mind, the females can come and go as they wish. But there you go. Not too impressed with us stopping to view him. But he'll be loving the fact that the sun's come out and it's warming up. A good sign of activity is when you start seeing the birds sitting out in the trees, a bit of noise coming from them. So, like I said, in the last 10 minutes, the sun has appeared and slowly but surely starting to warm up. So let's keep going. So you'll see we're busy climbing up a dune at the moment, and get ready for amazing scenery in the next few seconds. Just incredible, these sand dunes and what they offer on the other side. I commented there on scenery, and you can, as we drive, it is just a vast, open, incredible environment. What I'm hoping for this morning is, as the sun starts warming up a little bit, you know, we could be hopefully seeing things like the jackals, the bat-eared foxes. At this time of year, they're going to be staying up a little bit later in the morning, and perhaps enjoying a little bit of that early morning sun before they retreat into their burrows. So as we plod along here, you'll see some shorter grasses coming up, and obviously a lot easier then to spot those creatures enjoying the sun. You can see that winter has finally started taking a hold on the environment here, so a lot more color in the sand. You can see the sand is a lot more visible. Grasses are slowly but surely starting to wither away in the drier condition now. And this is obviously quite typical for South Africa, for the majority of South Africa. But we'll keep going along, and I'm going to send you back across to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're busy looking at a number of different tracks, and one of the interesting tracks that we found is that of a scrub hare. Which, if you have a look over here, this is where some of the feet is marked, and what we'll notice that it doesn't leave a very clear or distinct track. But this classic or characteristic 7 marking is one of the easiest ways of actually figuring out which animal has walked there. If you come a little bit further right over here we can see one of the tracks again that has been created. Almost looks like a miniature version of a very young jackal. So quite often we confuse the track of scrub hares with a number of different species because the track is so variable. So scrub hares in general, they tend to be night active. We often find their feces as well, and they feed mostly at night time. And we also find that they defecate at night time the food that they've taken, digested for the second time. While in the daytime, they quite often will find that they feed on the feces of the dung that they digested during the night time. So once again, it's referred to as day and night feces. And the reason why they re-eat their dung is because their digestive system is fairly poor, and that they have to re-ingest the nutrients as well as reabsorb all those minerals that's still inside the pellets. Scrub hares are also quite fast, and they tend to move up to sometimes recorded to up to 70 kilometers an hour. And we often see them on night drives, driving or running in front of the vehicles. So therefore we always switch off the lights to allow them to move off the road, and then we continue driving. Otherwise they will continuously run in front of a vehicle. Their strategy is actually that they want you to catch up with them, because they're one of the few animals that can actually change direction without having to slow down, where most predators first have to stop, and then they are only able to change direction. We're going to see what else we can go and find, and hopefully we'll be able to find a few more tracks and a few more interesting things this morning. In the meanwhile, let's go and have a look at what Tristan is up to.
Well, hopefully JP will find more interesting things. We've been on a wild goose chase, which is about the right thing for Kalamba. Looks like she's cut off here. I just want to double check quickly, because the last track I have is right here, and there's a little game path that goes. But what I want to show you guys quickly is just what we've done this morning tracking this cat. It's been a bit of a mission. But if we have a look here, this is the map. Obviously, we started off here's Vuyatela and Gallagher camps. So where I picked up the tracks is at this little point right here, this little road that comes out. The tracks then went up like this all the way along, then up Aubrey's Road all the way like this. Then they came onto the fire break, then here, then they went up to Longpole West. Then she turned around, she came down Hunter's Road. Then she crossed straight from Hunter's Road into this big block here. So I came and did a loop around to come and try, and I've just picked up her track coming right out where it says Gallagher Shortcut, exactly back to where we started. So she's done a whole big loop, and she's now heading kind of south and west at the moment, somewhere here. So we'll know if she crosses our vehicle tracks, then we're not too far behind. But it gives you an idea of the loop that she's done. Why tracking Kalamba can sometimes be a little on the frustrating side. She's a cat that moves just so much. It makes for difficult days sometimes. But her track definitely cuts here. There's a little pathway. I don't know if you guys can maybe make it out. But when you're tracking, particularly cats, this is what you're looking for. It's like a little cut through the grass that goes. And then she'll pop out probably at the power line over there. There's a kind of little mitre drain. From there, I would expect she's going to cut onto the western side of Quarantine or down Zoe's Road, one of the two. So we'll just quickly have a scratch there and just check whether or not she does come out. But busy cat, this. This is all over the place. And like I say, I'm pretty sure it's her. I would be surprised if it isn't. Nice big female track, and the end of the day, this is her area that she walks around in. We haven't had too many females in this section. Kara every now and then, Shadulu every now and then, but Shadulu has got her cubs. Well, they're saying that they think she's got cubs at the moment. No one's verified yet. But what they are telling me is that if she does have cubs, those cubs are either somewhere on Arathusa or just onto Simba. So we're going to try and spend a bit of time looking for those little ones at some point as well. Right, so I'm busy tracking spotted cats. It sounds like Lauren is on the tracks for tawny ones. So let's send you across to her.
I think we got an Oriole over here. Oh, sorry, Dov, it's long gone now. We're still scratching around for lions. We had their tracks, we're in the right area. I think they're just somewhere in this block. I'm convinced they're here, and I'm convinced they're following the buffalo. I'm not saying hunting them right now, but they're following them. I really would like to find them. Especially if that injured male, I'd like to really get a good look at him. But the photos are bad. It looks like the entire sort of ankle, I guess you could call it, the ankle bone is snapped the wrong way. But I mean, that's just from an image. I haven't actually seen videos or him. In summer, this would be mission impossible, but in winter, it's definitely possible. Jerome, no, not because of an injury. Naturally, when he gets to the age that it's time to be ousted, the same sort of process will happen. He will be kicked out, he will be ousted. But not because of an injury, absolutely not. They're just not going to really wait for him all the time. And that's going to be his struggle if he is really lagging behind. And I don't know which male it is. I know you're probably all asking. I've only seen a photo of a foot. But it's on the groups that we have here, and people do want to locate them. So we're on Torch Route, which is great news. And we're just scratching around the south-west corner of Torch Route, which borders naturally the southeastern corner of Djuma. And that's where all the buffalo are. But no, he won't be kicked out because of an injury. Not at all. He's just going to struggle. Life is going to become a lot more difficult now. He's not as mobile as he used to be. Well, here's the buffalo. This herd must be massive. We've done a huge loop around and bumped into them again, so this herd must be spanning right across to Djuma. Hello, guys. You see that male? See how different he looks from that level? Excuse the obvious, but you see how different he really looks from that female that we showed you earlier. I can see the herd going all the way this way. This is a big herd. I have a funny feeling it's the same one we had the other day. And if lions are hungry, they'll follow. But you've got to remember, I'm sure a few of you will remember the sighting Owen and I had a few weeks ago, where the lions were chasing the buffalo, but the buffalo were very aware of the lion's presence, and that's problem number one. Lions also need to rely on that element of surprise, ambush, stalk. So if they are following the buffalo, keeping themselves hidden is definitely the best. We're back on the fire break, on the southern fire break now. Kelly is keratin, it's natural keratin, and of course they're constantly walking here on rough terrain, really rough terrain. It's sort of hard sand. And, oh, okay, I just received a message. I'm going to give you, there's warthogs. Okay, I'm going to give you another view. Find out why people are contacting me. Okay, we've got a leopard just to the left of us, everybody. Not quite what I was looking for. Okay, I need to get on this radio. Ready, Dov?
Now I'm going to stand by there for make your way to the area.
Peter, come in.
Yeah, they're still crossing the road.
Hello, buffalo. Okay, there's lots of buffalo here and there's a leopard, so I'm just going to have to somehow navigate around here. Okay, I'm going to do my very best, everyone, to find you this leopard. Peter, do you copy?
Lower and low.
Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles, and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at and beyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through and beyond Ngala on Wild Earth. Send me live questions through the Wild Earth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Yeah. Well, we got our leopard. It is Maribs. So you find the buffalo, you're following lines, and you get a leopard. That's why in the bush, our directors say, "Good morning, Laura, what's your plan today?" And sometimes I think, goodness, I'm not going to make a plan, because really, once you get out of there, you never know what's going to happen. I scratched around for hyenas, then we hear about the lions, so we go to assist with the lion and we find the buffalo. And now we've got Mr. Maribs. Davi's happy, I know it. I know Davi's really happy right now. Now Maribs, I think he's watching the buffalo. He's not stalking them, but just watching them out of curiosity. Because we are about, how many meters would you say from the buffalo, Dav?
Sorry, meters from?
The buffalo.
Maybe like
300? I'm going to disagree with you. I think 150. We're disagreeing. But anyway, we're not far away from the buffalo, and I think this little guy is watching them. Okay, what a lucky morning. We're going to try and stay with this boy for a little while. And for now, over to Tristan.
Well, while Marif's is staring at buffalo, we found our cat. It's taken a long time to get around, and she was crossed over the top of our tracks. And as she crossed over the top of our tracks, where she had, Marcel had gone down, and he said he had just spotted her kind of walking down the road ahead of us. So we quickly shot round, and then he lost her, and then it was a bit of tracking from there just to find her again. And as you can see, she's walking down the road, tail up, because, well, the impalas are shouting at her. But she looks absolutely beautiful and is being super chilled today, which is a good thing. I've been worried about her a little bit. So the last couple times I've seen her, she's been a little bit on the sort of shy side. So it's nice to see her being chilled. And I'm super excited to spend time with her. It's one of my favorite cats. She's difficult and she's a pain in the backside to track, but she's so much fun to kind of spend time with. And she is absolutely magnificent. Not that there's many ugly leopards in this world, but she is particularly pretty. Her coat color mixed with her eyes is just something special. Hello, my girl. You can hear the impalas still shouting at her. That's why her tail's up. She's going to keep that up and keep marching until such time as they stop. Now, she's heading straight southwards to where we actually had Moya yesterday. So I'm pretty sure that she's going to kind of, well, I'm hoping that she's going to cut eventually towards sort of Treehouse Dam area. Maybe we'll get her drinking. She doesn't look like she's that full, but she also doesn't look as though she's that empty either. So I think she's just on a territorial patrol, and judging by her movement this morning, it would indicate that that's the case. But the way that she's walking, if she walks dead straight like this, she will have gone from not central Buffelshoek, but from Buffelshoek all the way and cross Djuma in the space of a morning. Because the way that she's walking it now is she's going to cross out of Djuma if she goes straight in this direction. I'm hoping she's going to cut more kind of southwest towards Treehouse. Yes, the direction you're looking now, little Kalamba. Look at that tail. She's got the most magnificent coat color. It's like her older brother Tumba. He looks very, very similar in coloration to this, and given that they should theoretically have the same dad, it makes sense that the combination would give a very similar coat color. Tumba's also got a deep, rich, kind of orangey gold coat. It's really very, very, very pretty coloration that's in this particular genetic, and both of them have those amazing eyes, those kind of light greeny blue eyes. Very, very, very similar look about them. And I must be honest, Tumba now is just such a beautiful cat. He's got a demeanor about him now that he's very, very much imposing. What's she smelling? She's phlegm and grimacing at the moment. Scent marking. So as I was saying earlier, but when we were tracking her, that she's walking fast, you can see what I was talking about. So her back feet are overtaking her front feet because she's on a quick pace walk. And it's almost territorial in many respects because of the way that she's kind of walking like this, and she's stuck on roads the whole way. Always know with Kalamba when she's hunting, she kind of crosses roads and there's zigzags a lot more. But when she's territorial, she walks the road the whole way, and she just kind of goes off every now and then, does a little mark like this, and then carries on. But she's marking intensely, and I would imagine that's because yesterday I picked up tracks for a female leopard right here, and we followed them and they cut west, and I was pretty sure that those were for Shadulu. Nice big female tracks, and we know Shadulu's got quite big female feet, but don't you love that little white tail in the grass? You silly girl. Your tail's going to give you away. I know you're going to the toilet, but that little white tail twitching all over the place is definitely going to attract a fair amount of attention. So Dungeon Gold really depends on the area and depends on the leopards. Here in the Sabi Sands, there we go, she's going to Treehouse Dam. Thought she might. It depends on the area, depends on the leopards, depends on the density. If you've got an area where you've got a lot of leopards, then the amount that they patrol is going to be less because the territory size is going to be less. So you're not going to see as much movement from them. But in the same breath is that in an area with a low density of leopards, they obviously have an ability to be far less frequent in their kind of territorial movement. The cats here, because of the overlap that we currently have, now you must understand where we are right now, we're overlapping in 4 different females. So we've got Kalamba, Shadulu, Kara and Moya, all kind of been seen in this general vicinity of late, and that means that there's got to be a lot more in the terms of scent marking and basically just trying to keep your territory boundaries in check. I think you're going to find, though, with Kalamba moving the way that she has been, and kind of Kara and Moya, that I think Shadulu is going to kind of relinquish quite a lot of space now, particularly if she's got cubs. If she has cubs, her ability to mark and to go far outside of the area of the cubs is limited, because she's obviously got to try to get back to cubs, particularly while they're still so small. And so that will then often give it a chance for these females, like Kalamba, to start taking over and absorbing some of that territory. But it's been fascinating to watch Kalamba. I mean, her territory of late is ridiculous. I mean, she looks like she's got almost double the space. In fact, maybe even more than what her mom does. Her mom has got a tiny little territory, and you'd expect that from a female that's been as successful as Thandi has been. But still, I mean, it's not like Thandi's had a lot of females. You know, she's had just Kalamba and Kuchava as females, so, you know, she should have more than enough space, but it seems like she's pushed and kind of her territory's contracted with all these younger females around. Anyway, talking about offspring, it's Lauren's got Thandi's current offspring, so let's send you back across to her. Or not. Apparently, Lauren's doesn't have signal, so you're back with me. Kalamba cat, why are you trotty today? I'm just going to stop here because I don't want her to trot off. I know there's a bit of a bush behind, or she's behind a bit of a bush, but I just want to give her a chance to kind of stop and look at whatever it is that she's looking at. She's become a lot more twitchy of late as Kalamba, and I was thinking, you know, the other day when we saw her, she looked like she had a funny belly, but seeing her today, she's not pregnant. Well, it doesn't look like it, at least. Her stomach is quite drawn in. She looks pretty normal today. Alright, are we going to get through here? We should be able to get through here, no problem. But this is the exact route Shadulu likes to walk. Well, we used to like to walk when she came in a lot more frequently. We used to find her along this section quite regularly. Where did she go? Oh, there she is. She's changed direction slightly now. She's cutting more westwards. So where we're going now is basically she's going to cut straight through. That should take us to Treehouse Dam. I'm pretty sure she'll drink at Treehouse Dam. Then from there, she normally, there's one of two routes she's going to take. She's either going to turn back northwards towards central Djuma, or of late, she starts to head south and heads towards Little Gau, Twin Dams, around that area. So it'll be quite interesting to see this morning which way she chooses. Anyway, while we follow her through all of this and try and keep up, let's send you across to Tswalu.
So as you can see, we have finally found a beautiful little backyard fox. We had mentioned earlier on our safari that the area we were going into, the shorter grasses, at this time of day, we were hoping to catch some, enjoying the morning sun. And there is one right there. These for me are one of my favourite little creatures to be seeing out here, and very, very specific to this kind of drier habitat. So certainly not something you'll see throughout the country. And also, maybe, as you can see now, maybe not always the easiest to see in general. They tiny little canids, and living in this environment, usually in family groups. So we saw the one there. I would assume there's a partner close by, and potentially some of their pups in the vicinity. But it is one of the creatures that they live in these bigger family groups. So not uncommon to see 4, 5, 6, 7 of them running around together. But he has done a little sneaky move there and disappeared into that long grass. I actually can still see him, just to the... There you can just get his ear. But with all the creatures we see out here, I mean, it's important to realise that they all have ways of disappearing and hiding, and obviously that would be to protect themselves. So even this little guy, he steps behind the tiniest of little tufts of grass, and he's almost gone. And we did lose him for a minute there. He's just walking behind a bush, but I'm sure he's going to pop out on the other side any second now. Here he comes. There's a beautiful view. You can see those unusually big ears that they have, and he's predominantly an insect eater. And I've said before, I have seen them chasing smaller rodents, but the bigger part of their diet would be insects. And with that, those ears, he's listening for really anything, and you'll see them ferociously digging into the ground. For any sound, any movement, they'll pick it up quickly, and he'll be then digging food out. And if you look at his body language now, it's almost as if he's doing exactly that. So for sure he's onto something there. Let's see if he digs. Typical with the canids, all of his senses are incredible, but there you can see how those ears are really being used as he's foraging for food in that sort of barer ground. I think it's always a treat to see these little creatures. For the most part, when you look at the smaller mammals and the ones that are more typically moving in the nighttime, they are typically a lot more shy. So to have them like this, where he's very comfortable with our presence here, he's not paying too much attention to us. It's always a treat to actually be able to spend a little bit of time and watch them. More often than not, you get rather quick views, fleeting glimpses. But this little chap seems to be quite confident. Perhaps he's just enjoying the sun a little too much, and why not have a snack while you're busy? Tony, I'm in a total agreement with you. I think they are the most incredible little creatures, and we really are a little bit spoiled out here where we are. We've got a number of different members of the canid group. So, bat-eared fox, the Cape fox, the jackals. Always a treat to see them, but I think these guys are definitely my favorite too. As the morning goes on, he won't be out for too long. But they'll find a place to go and burrow. There's a second one running in to join. There you go. But I think let's just enjoy this. I did expect there'd be more than one, but I think they're going to go tuck themselves into the bush now and take a bit of a break. But enjoy.
Well, bat-eared foxes, that's always a nice thing to have. I'm pretty jealous, although we are with the leopard, so I'd rather take a leopard than a bat-eared fox if I'm honest, but bat-eared foxes are pretty cool little creatures. Anyway, Nalamba is still missioning. We're still trying to keep up with her, so I'm going to try and just follow her. It's going to be quite tricky. Where she's going is a horrible area of black monkey orange, and black monkey orange is quite hard on the vehicles. It does a lot of damage to the cars, so you've got to be a bit careful with it. So we're going to try and go through a little section here where I don't have to bash through too much of it. Try and kind of keep up with her. She's just walking through a tough area at this stage, but it's going to open up right now into the fire break, and we should get her nicely coming out. I'm actually going to do a little sneaky move away from her for a bit, just to try and get out into the clearing, and then we'll watch her coming out from there. She's turned slightly. She's not as going as sort of south and east as I thought she might towards Trias Dam. She's kind of cutting the block south, but maybe she'll go in here and then cut kind of eastwards from there. We're not far from Trias Dam, but we're also not exceedingly close. So she's walking towards this big torchwood on my right. So if I stop here somewhere, we should see her coming. Do you see her, Morgan? There she is at the torchwood now. So she's moving across. We'll try and kind of keep up with her, because this cat can lose you in about 2 seconds when she wants to, which is no good. But it's much easier driving here and watching her than it is to worry about. She's now changed direction. She's going back north. That's crazy. Oh, she's chasing a duiker. No wonder. The duiker just ran away. I don't know if you saw it. And she's gone flat far in the distance there. You see that fallen over tree? She's at the bottom there. All right, I'm going to try and keep up with her. She's busy and moving quite a bit. Hopefully she's going to come back in our direction and head this way. You can see her just sitting there. Hopefully she'll have a bit of luck, but we'll keep following her and see how it plays out.
So we are busy going over the dune here, and the bat-eared fox have gone to the left. We'll see if we can pick them up. Sucks. They're gone. Yeah, we did pick them up, but they are unfortunately a little bit more nervous of us now. Let's just roll down here. I can see 1 or 2 of them still standing. They can be so tough, these guys. But there's a... Hopefully we can get him. So I commented earlier that we were, they were probably heading off back to a burrow system, or sometimes we catch them just lying in the thickets. And from where we first picked them up, the one that was foraging, as soon as the partner arrived, they started moving. So for sure they are heading on home now, and we have lost them. But always a treat, always an incredible thing to be seeing out here, and they're very common in this particular habitat, but not necessarily the easiest to actually sit and view. So always good to get them like that. Anyway, we'll keep going and see what's over the top of the next dune. So we're going to keep searching, and we'll be heading over to Lauren, who is with a leopard. Enjoy that.
Mr. Reeves has fallen asleep. Nestled up in the long vegetation. Look at that. Just a handful of rosettes. And just to give you some context, this is almost exactly where we had him last night, give or take 100 meters maximum. We are just on the western side of the Mowanini. And he was on the embankment of the Mowanini yesterday. We left Tandy curled up in the tightest of cutest little balls, also on the embankment on the southern side of the Mowanini. I think she'll be here somewhere. She's most likely going to be on the Chitwa side. But between last night and today, Reeves has just used that same tiny little area. He's really not travelling very far. And it was quite something watching them try to find one another. He was chuffing, calling for her, but then he got distracted by Impala, naturally, as you do. She was looking for him, smelling his feces, smelling his scent mark, trying to find him, and they were both just doing loops around one another. And it's not easy for them to find one another. Yes, maybe if they sawed and sawed and sawed, they could. But Tandy doesn't want to attract too much attention to herself. She's small, she's petite, she's solitary. She's trying to remain hidden. So by constantly sawing for him, that wouldn't really make sense. That's why they do this sort of much softer little contact call that we call chuffing. It just shows you it's not easy. They don't just go, hey, they don't just pick up the phone, hey, where are you at? I'm coming. They've got to find each other through the soft audio or scent. They were remarkably close yesterday. It really was quite something. I have no idea which leopard Tristan has. FC, tell me. It's fantastic that we've both got leopards. I just love to know who is where. I find leopard movements incredibly fascinating, especially when you look at the sort of entirety of the Sabi Sands, not just our little area. Tristan's got Kalamba. Well done, Tristan. He was talking about her this morning. I'm pretty sure he actually had a dream about her last night. Kalamba is Marib's half-sister. Highly unlikely full sister, but I guess we don't know that. But I think it's safe to say half-sister. Same mama, different dada. You know, Darby, there's Impala right there. Are you able to see them? They're really close. And they have no idea that there's a sleeping leopard just here. Hey, Impala. They haven't picked up wind of him, and he hasn't picked up wind of them. No idea. And it just shows you how close this sort of predator and prey come to one another on a daily basis. It's fascinating. If they knew he was there, you would hear about it, that's for sure. He doesn't even know they're there. I think the evolutionary arms race between predator and prey is really fascinating. They can't be equal. They are not equal. It's a race. That's the perfect word. And someone will always be on the back burner. There will always be one that has the advantage. And it's not necessarily always the predator. We think it's the predator, but that's not necessarily always the case. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for survival. Predators need to capture and eat prey naturally to survive, and prey have to avoid being eaten in order to survive. And we call this the evolutionary arms race. The Red Queen talks a lot about that. If you're ever interested in that hypothesis, you can Google it. So predators have evolved specialized weapons of attack, if you like. Not necessarily physical weapons, but they've evolved weapons in order to attack. Prey have evolved specialized defense. And this continues on in the evolutionary arms race. But we're going to sit here with Maribs as long as we can, and we're going to send you guys over to JP.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. So as we were walking one of the drainage lines and we smelled the smell of a carcass. However, we could not locate it. We then moved out of the area and to start walking somewhere else. And most likely what happened is that we might have startled a young male leopard. And we just found his tracks freshly over the vehicle tracks that was made by us this morning. So if you have a look over here, we've got a front foot which is much broader, and compared to the hind foot that is much longer. So typical of leopard tracks, beautiful symmetrical tracks. We've got 3 distinct lobes, typical of cats at the back. And then here we've got the toes. Toes are slightly more rounded in the males compared to much more slender in the females. If I look at the size, I would suggest that this is a male that has been walking over here. We also can determine if it's a left or right foot just by simply looking at which of the toes are the longest, and this will correlate to a left foot. What we also do know is that that animal moved quite fast from here. As we can see right over here, that the hind foot has started stepping over the front foot, which means that it's moving quite quickly. So generally, if a hind foot is directly in front of the front foot, it means medium pace. If it's on top, slow pace. If it's on top of front foot, it means medium pace. And the moment that the hind foot goes over the front foot, then we know that the animal is moving at speed. So there's so many different things that we can determine by simply looking at tracks and how the animal is moving. We're going to see what else we can go and find. We'll be
Hi, I'm Nikki, your guide here at and Beyond Ngala. So my favorite animal in the African bush definitely has to be the zebra, because like people, with our fingerprints, every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And, of course, a group of zebras together is called the dazzle. How unique is that? Come and join me or one of my colleagues here in Ngala for a sunrise and sunset safari on Wild Earth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, 2 to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. Hello, I'm Marna, your Wild Earth Safari Guide from and beyond Gala. What I really like about connecting with Wild Earth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the Wild Earth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on Wild Earth.
Well, as you can see, we're still with Kalamba. She's walking in possibly the worst block. She's not quite gone to Treehouse. She's cut straight south on the western side of Treehouse Dam, and has gone through a block which is honestly one of my worst blocks in this whole reserve. I absolutely hate driving in here. It's Black Monkey Orange and Burrows Central. In fact, the last time I saw one park here was exactly here. So it's just difficult driving and it's hard on the vehicle. You can see you get into these holes. And with the amount of rain we've had gotten along, you can't actually see these aardvark burrows that easily, but there we go. We can actually see her in front now. But she's on a serious mission this morning. She is scent marking everywhere. And not only just scent marking, but viciously so. Grass has taken a pound at the back paws of Kalamba. She's, I don't know why, but she's been quite vociferous in her marking behavior. I suspect maybe she's coming into an estrus cycle. That's what it looks like when she's marking like this, although she hasn't been calling. So when leopards are coming into estrus, they'll mark like this, and as well as trying to be quite vocal, as if to tell the boys, listen, I'm here, I'm ready, come find me. Which she hasn't done as yet, but she's definitely laying down a lot of chemical signature to females, males, everybody that she's around. And her walk, if you look where she's gone, she went straight north, came back from an area where Tswalu kind of borders, and then she's moving straight back down this way again. And I think it's why we're seeing her hanging around so much on the sort of southern side of the property at the moment is Mulawati seems to be much further south, and with Tortoise Pan kind of edging in from the west, and Tswalu and Klangula and this new male with the bent tail, well, that actually rhymes, and in the north as well. So there's a lot of kind of male pressure at this stage, and so I suppose it makes sense for a female just to be hanging around down south where it's a little bit more stable at this stage. The only problem is that there is 1,000,001 other females that are also doing the exact same thing down here at the moment. I wonder if she's going to cross south into Dilgari. We're not actually far from the southern boundary now. Amazing to see how far she's walked and how fast she's done it. Those tracks outside camp this morning were pretty good, so we've obviously just been trailing her the whole morning while we were tracking, and only caught up with her a little bit later. So I'm going to hope now that she's going to start to settle down somewhere and lie up in a shady little spot. So while we do that and try and see if we can keep up with her until she does that, let's send you across to Lauren with Mariefs.
Mariebs is just being absolutely perfect right now. He's exactly where he was yesterday, no joke. He's watching the warthogs. He saw some warthogs and he got very excited. He woke up immediately. And that just goes to show you he was in a deep sleep and he heard those warthogs and immediately up. Darby, if you can just zoom out a fraction, you see that sort of mound on his right. This big mound here. That's where he was sitting yesterday. That's where we found him. Creature of habit, not like his half-sister. Oh, she's definitely not going to be in the same area. She's not going to kill, my goodness. She should probably be in a different country. Kalamba's not an easy one. Well done, Tristy. But Mariebs is quite the little creature of habit, and Tavangumi's the same. It's a young boy, non-territorial, nomadic sort of behavior. Stick to what you know. And slowly explore a little bit more, stick to what you know. But Maribs is a March baby, and I'll always remember that because Ngwazi and Shimbulu were March babies as well. So he's only a year and 4 months, give or take, depending exactly where in March. Or when in March, sorry. He was born. And I always remember that. Ngwazi, Shimbulu, Maribs, same month. It was a good month. One of the best. Wasn't it, Maribs? Yeah. Ranga, you're saying we're spoiled for spots this morning. I know. This drive just took so many twists and turns. But yes, you are spoiled, Ranga. Ranga or Ranger?
Ranga.
Ravi thinks it's Ranga. Have I got chocolate on my nose, Ravi? I had a little bit of an accident. I think I've got chocolate on my nose. Oh dear. How embarrassing. Luckily you're looking at my leaves. But yes, you're spoiled. I personally feel this entire stint I've been back, I've been spoiled. Tangano, Tandy, Maribs, Moya. I need to catch up with Miss Tlalamba. There's a song that goes, why'd you have to be so cute? It's impossible to ignore you. I won't sing anymore. But I always think of this song when I see Maribs. It just plays automatically in my head. Jackson, you're asking, is Tandy always nearby Maribs? Not necessarily, no. I think right now, yes, but not always. From my observations, Tandy and Maribs are making very predictable movements on this sort of vertical band on the western side of Torchwood, which borders Cheetah Cut Line, all the way down into Chitwa. And not really stepping outside of that, not going too far east to Rhino Cut Line, not that far, and really not dipping their paws that far into Juma. Occasionally, but really not that far. So just imagine a vertical chunky band going from west of Torchwood down into Chitwa, and that's really their movements right now. Tandy's shifted her territory, and his movements are a lot smaller than that. So sometimes she'll be deep into Torchwood and he's sitting on Chitwa open. So in the same vicinity, in the same territorial borders, but no, they're not always extremely nearby. But yesterday was quite touching to see them just look for each other like that. He was jumping, Mummy, where are you? She was going, Maribs, where are you? I know everything takes his fancy. Guinea fowl, warthog, buffalo, impala. What you gonna stalk now, boy? Impala. You gonna come and see the car? Hi. And just like that, you're back to looking at me, huh? Fabulous. I'm just going to turn slowly. Now, this is Gowrie Main that he's on. So he's crossing Gowrie Main. And it looks like he's about to go into Chitwa. As you can hear, there's another vehicle in this siding, so we're just going to maneuver around him and try and keep up with him. love to see them reunite. I waited very patiently yesterday and it did not happen. Oh, crikey. This is a mulwanini, this is a torchwood, and behind us, this is chitwa, sorry, and behind us is torchwood. I've completely lost him. Can you see him, Darby? Okay. I see him. I just wonder if it's worth going in the mulwanini. He's crossed back into Chitwa. I just need to figure out which way. Darby's got his tom-tom attire back on. Yeah, I'm gonna go in this way.
Well, unfortunately, that's that with Kalamba. She's crossed the southern boundary. I can't follow her any further. So we'll just have a last view of her kind of disappearing. I'll try and get forward a little bit, see if we can get a gap through here of her disappearing. But yeah, she's gone into Little Gowrie. In fact, she's actually in Hofmans, which is quite interesting. I've never seen her this far west and south before. She's on a mission, obviously, to go somewhere, but that's her disappearing into the block and out of view, I'm afraid. I think she's hunting impalas in this area. There's a few impalas around the firebreak section, so I think she's worked out that this is a good place to look for food. But alas, that is it for the morning. Off she goes. Bye, girl. Thank you. That was a long way we followed her through and far from. In terms of tracks, it's ridiculous. She's just a non-stop walker, this cat. It's crazy how far she can cover and how quickly she covers it. All right, well, from here, I'm not really sure where I'm going to head. I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, we'll head towards, maybe towards Treehouse Dam. I think that will be a good place to head. Just went straight over like that. Try and head towards Treehouse Dam, see if we can't get any sign of anything that side. I think that's going to be the plan, given there's not really much else to go and follow up on. I haven't heard much else on the radio, so it feels like a good plan. You never know, maybe Moya's around as well. And Kalamba's just bypassed her. Just check for tracks as we go in case there are tracks coming back over. Right, so like I say, our plan will be just to head. Yeah, so we'll see if maybe we can't find something. But that was a lovely treat to follow Kalamba as she went.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to your African live bush safari. My name is Dyke Koza and Owen behind me on the camera. This morning we're just gonna try see if we can pick up any fresh signs of the lions that we left last night, see what happened, because those lions were on a hunt last night, so we're just hoping they did find something that they can get their cubs to feed, because those cubs will need to eat very oftenly, because now they're starting to win them off, so they need to get some food that can grow and survive, because when they're still that small, the chances of survival is very slim, because adults leave them alone, go off to hunt the whole night, and there's movement of other predators like lions from different prides, hyenas, leopards, so those cubs can easily be taken by either one of those predators. Let's hope these lions got something last night and even bigger, so they can keep feeding for quite some times, and then we'll have lions for a few days. If they've caught maybe buffalo or giraffe, so we're just gonna carry on searching and see if we can find those lions. While we're looking for those lions, we've got some elephants in the distance. I'm just gonna move in and see if we can have a view of those elephants. It looks like they're just grazing peacefully without worrying about anything there, which means there won't be lions in this area. If there were lions, these elephants will be more concerned because they have babies there. We'll see the elephant just now, which are straight ahead of us. They look so relaxed, grazing there. Normally, if the lions are in the area, elephants won't be this relaxed. So let's move in and find a place to stop and have a good look at these elephants here. Just gonna try reposition the vehicle so we can view this nice herd of elephants which is grazing peacefully here. Here we go. As you look there, couple of young ones. As you know, a herd of elephant is always mixed with different sizes. Fully grown females, young ones of different ages. There's a very, very small one in the middle of the bush there, playing with that little tree. Haven't learned to use his trunk, it's just learning now to use it properly. As you can see, he's trying to break that bush and he won't be able to. But he'll grow up and I think he'll learn to do it. But now it seems like if he doesn't know what to do about it. So you can see they're moving slowly while they're grazing. This is what these animals will do. They will graze and browse in the direction of water, and then at the end of the day, as soon as it starts warming up, they'll need to drink water. As you can see, if you look where they are, most of this grass is dry, so they eat a lot of dry food, and then they'll need a lot of water to flush it out because mostly the grass is dry. And then, yeah, trying to see if I can see some larger bulls here, unless they're behind the bushes, but so far I can't see any big bulls unless he's coming from the right, because they're moving from right to left. See, those two young ones are playing fight there. Can be possibly two young males, because this dominance thing starts when they're still young like that. They'll play around, fight each other, push each other, and then there comes a big one from behind the bushes there towards those two young ones that were playing fight there. That is definitely the male, which these guys doesn't normally hang around with these herds because they need a lot to eat, like 300 kilograms of food per day. But otherwise, a bull like that, see, the tail looks like he lost tip of his tail. No fly sweater there. Must struggle to chase the flies. Yeah, otherwise a guy like that will move from one head to another So he's not always with these animals because the matriarchal society lead by the female. As you can see, that one is pulling the grass, the one in front, pulling the grass off the ground. Before he put the whole grass in his mouth, he just shake it for the sand and unwanted stuff. And then he'll put the grass, he's kicking it with his foot. That's what they'll do. They grab something on the ground, try to pull it with their trunk. If they can't, then they'll kick it off the grass or the ground by their front foot to take it off the ground. See, it looks like there's something really tasty there because the other one just moved in and pushed him off. He wants to get the same sort of food that he was eating from that bush there. As you can see, there's more and more. Sometimes you just see one animal while it's more than what you can see, more especially with this vegetation. There's a bit of green leaves still in the trees there, as you can see. But in the next 2 months, most of these trees, the leaves are gone. So that's when the elephant will start uprooting the trees to get moisture from the roots, as well as debarking some of the trees. Like if you drive around and happen to see quite a few dead trees, most of them will be killed by elephants because these animals are mixed feeders. They'll graze and browse, so they eat the roots, they eat the bark, eat the leaves, they will eat wild fruits and berries. And then they use those tusks for peeling the bark off the trees and strip it with the trunk. But they don't eat the whole bark. What they do after opening the bark up, and then they'll strip the inner layer, the cambium layer, and throw the outside away. So that's what they do. Some trees will die if they've been ring-barked, because once they've taken the entire bark all around the tree, obviously the tree is going to die. So when I say they use those tusks, that's why sometimes if you look around carefully, may notice one elephant with one tusk shorter than the other, or one broken tusk. It happens, the shorter one is the less dominant, the most dominant one that gets used more and more for peeling the bark off the trees, as well as digging until that gets worn down or breaks off. This is more or less same like us being right or left-handed. Besides, we don't lose our hands. As you can see, they starting to move quite steadily. Like I said, they might be grazing in the direction of water, so they know it's getting warmer, so soon they want to get to a water hole or somewhere in the riverbed, because they're heading in the direction of the Timbavati dry riverbed, which is a complete dry riverbed. But at some parts of this river, they'll still dig and find water. Isn't that amazing how these animals will just be walking down the riverbed, of which looks complete dry, and all of a sudden they get to a certain start digging. Yeah, because they can sense water even underground, because this river I'm talking about, it's somewhere in the direction where they're going. It looks dry. If we happen to drive there, you'll see what I'm talking about, because it looks dry on top, but it's flowing underneath. So that's why these animals are capable to dig and find water in this riverbed. So we're just gonna leave the elephant grazing away towards where they're heading, and then carry on with the search for the lions. Let's go over to Tristan and see what Tristan has found for us.
Well, good luck, Doug. Hopefully you find your lions. We're with elephants ourselves. This is an Ellie cow that's very gingerly eating a buffalo thorn. and I'm not surprised that she's doing it so gingerly. It's not a very easy meal to consume, but well done, girl. You managed to get it down. Are you going to look at us as well? Very, very nice. And it'll smell, just to make sure we're not anything to worry about, and then you'll find that she'll probably come back over the road towards kind of where we are. Alright, off you go. It's a small little herd. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of them kind of in the area. It seems like only a small grouping. Unfortunately, we haven't lost Kalamba. We just had to watch her cross a boundary right now, and I actually wanted to show you guys just how far she's gone, because I was saying earlier with the tracking how far she went, and sorry, I know the map's quite bright because of the lamination and the sun. I'll try and stop it. But anyway, basically, for those that didn't see earlier, this is where we started with the tracks. The tracks went up Aubrey's Road, across the fire break, up here, up to this section here, turned around at the L, basically, of Longpole, came back down Hunter's Road, through the block, out on Gallagher Shortcut, down across Vuetela Access, down Zoe's Road, down to here. We found her at this junction over here, and then she went down Zoe's Road, cut through here, across Philemon's cut line, straight down, and then into Hoffman's over here. So she has done an absolute monster loop today. It's the furthest southwest I've ever seen her go. Normally she's around Treehouse Dam, which is this section over here. You'll be able to see the little dam. And so when she cut off Zoe's Road, she was heading like this towards Treehouse, and then she got onto the scent of something and was sniffing about, and then she just went straight south like this through the block and then down, and we left her kind of going southwards this way. I'm pretty sure though we'll find her at some point coming and bending round, coming back towards sort of Twin Dams area, but it's a long way to the southwest. This section here really has always been Shidulu, and of late Moya as well. So it's interesting that Kalamba is kind of spending time there, but it just goes to show she's gone from Buffelshoek up here all the way through Djuma in the space of one morning, which gives you an idea of why Kalamba is so difficult to track sometimes. She's a busy cat, and moves quite quickly, and is generally quite busy about the way that she does things. She got a bit caught twice today with impalas, where she was moving so quickly and scent marking so much that they spotted her before she spotted them. But I'm sure she's going to eventually start stalking. She's a pretty efficient hunter, is little Kalamba, so I expect her to be fairly successful the next little bit. Anyway, we'll sit with these ellies as they slowly start emerging from the thickets all around us. Hopefully we'll keep seeing more and more of them arriving.
Suspended above Kenya's Masai Mara is a breathtaking lodge where unrivaled service goes hand in hand with extraordinary wildlife sightings. Angama Mara offers a quiet place where guests have the opportunity to reconnect with the world again. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer before the end of July, and you and a friend could win a 3-night stay at this award-winning lodge. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I am thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We were conducting our walk this morning around the areas of Leopard Dam. However, it was a little bit quiet over there. So we decided to come down to Ndlovu Dam and come and see what's going on as the temperatures are heating up. Hopefully some of the animals will come in and come and drink. But meanwhile, we located on our resident hippo, who's very, very happily resting there in the mud. Over the last few days, I've seen he's obtained quite a new number of friends. Some of these are oxpeckers, which often come and land on him. I use him to come and feed on the ticks and parasites that's on the side of the boat, which he accumulates during the night time. And then quite often you'll see them having a drink by popping their heads down into the water. Other animals that are associating with him recently is also a number of serrated hinged terrapins. I'm not sure where these terrapins came from because we battled to find terrapins at one point in this dam, and suddenly there's 5 of them that quite often come and sit on top of him. However, if we do get close to them, they scurry back into the water and go and hide. So quite often these terrapins will use the hippos to expose themselves to sun so that they can increase their body temperature. So they will shift the whole time between water as well as on the back of the hippo, depending if they're too hot or too cold. They also use the hippo for feeding purposes, as they often will feed on the little parasites that come and sit on his skin. So for those of you that have joined us for the first time, hippos tend to feed mostly at night. And then when they come back in the daytime, they will go back into the water where they feel safe and they're to the sun. What's also interesting is that when they're in water, they tend to be social. However, when they do feed, they tend to feed separately away from one another, with the exception of with the mothers. We're going to sit and watch him for a little bit longer, but let's go and see what the Tswalu.
So here we have two of the most one of the most beautiful species of antelope you find in Africa, and this is your sable antelope. These are two beautiful males, the males being jet black in color with the white bellies. The females are a much more neutral brown color. It seems like there's a bit of a disagreement going on between these two boys. And the one closest to us, I'm sure you can see, has already at some point had a fight where he's lost a piece of his horn. But these sable are, honestly, they're one of the most beautiful species you find in Africa. And very distinct markings with the white on the face and that incredible black color to them. So always a real treat to find these guys out on safari. And I think for most visitors to the country, depending on where you're going, it's certainly not something you could readily expect to see there. One of the rarer antelopes, one of the more prized antelopes. So really an absolute pleasure to be able to watch them. Just beautiful. Have a look how beautiful that face is. I was asked a question a few days ago as to what my favorite antelope species was out here, and I commented that it was a roan antelope, who's really a very similar looking creature. But definitely the sables are high on the list there because of their beautiful shape and size and just everything about them. They are quite well known to be quite ferocious creatures. The first official record of a person being harmed in the Kruger National Park by a wild animal was somebody trying to photograph a sable bull, and he did not like that. He did not like that person approaching them on foot, and he made his point rather clear. Again, big, powerful antelope, really big, powerful antelope. But lovely to see. Jacqueline, no, the sable are not only found in this area. In fact, you find them quite widespread across southern Africa. Certainly, as you're going up further north into Botswana, Zimbabwe, you'll find them in fair numbers there. The thing with the sable is they're very, very specific as to the grass types they like to move and feed in. So very specific on diet and things like that. So not necessarily an antelope you'd find in too many areas, but certainly more spread. Kruger National Park has a decent number of them, but it's a massive conservation area, so maybe not the easiest to see. Even where we are in the green Kalahari, we wouldn't get them here in big numbers. In old Africa, when there was nothing restricting movements of animals, things like this would have naturally moved through from time to time, but certainly wouldn't have spent a huge amount of time here throughout the year. So really nice to be able to see them out today. But there's definitely a bit of a boxing match going on between these two. I think the one that's in the thicket, the first one that was in the thicket, I think he's trying to avoid conflict. So he's keeping himself tucked in there, but I'm not sure how much you can hear of this. There's a lot of huffing and puffing and snorting going on, so they are not enjoying each other's company. Anyway, I think we'll leave them to their boxing match. You can see they've got themselves really tucked in there. Maybe a bit of a dispute going on, maybe a dispute over an area to feed in, who knows. But like I said, lots of huffing and puffing and snorting and obviously using rather rude language each other, trying to intimidate each other. But what a fantastic find. We are, having just bumped into the sable, have actually found some cheetah tracks, so we're gonna keep looking along here, and maybe we get lucky. Let's see what we find.
Yeah, we haven't had any luck about or finding these tracks of these lions that we looking for them on this road. We're just gonna carry on down this road, hoping to find tracks and follow them and see what these lions were up to last night. Let's hope we find the lion tracks and find these lions and see what happened the night after we left them, because it's always interesting. I always say, to me, doing something like that, it's like writing a book. Yesterday we were with these lions, moving, trying to hunt, and then the next morning you look for them and find them and see what happened the night before. So it will be really interesting if we can find these tracks of the lions that we're trying to find and follow them and see what happens. We're just gonna loop around and go on to the other side because there's no sign of them down this road. As we looked carefully, we were hoping they'll come out somewhere down this road, but nothing as yet. So we're just gonna carry on down this road. Let's hope we find these lions this morning and gotten successful last night on their hunt and find the whole pride feeding. Who knows, because that was the Birmingham Pride, which is part of the Birmingham Pride, that with the white lions, you never know, these animals may have joined together. It will be really nice to see the white lion again, because I haven't seen him for like 3 days, but they're still in the area. It's just a question of finding one or finding them where they are. So let's hope these lions are somewhere in this area, and we're just gonna carry on searching. Let's hope we find them. So
well, we are in the presence of an old but gentle soul, and it's a privilege to be in the presence of a female elephant of this size and this age. She's massive with the most beautiful tusks on her for a female, but you can see with her forehead, look at how deeply sunken those temples are. You'll find that her temples have dropped right in, and she's even can see her shoulder blades now. You can see her hips as well. So she's in the last few phases of her life, unfortunately. But can you imagine all that she has seen? An elephant in that condition and that sort of size could easily be now, and she could be in her 50s already, which is pretty crazy. So it's quite a sort of impressive thing when you have an elephant like that sort of walk past you. Imagine the stories she could tell and the travels that she's done. It would be incredible to know how far she's traveled in her life. Imagine kind of putting a Fitbit onto them and working out how many steps they've taken and the distances that they've traveled. But I mean, she's still feeding and she still seems to be kind of okay. I mean, her body condition is not brilliant, but it's also not the worst that I've ever seen. So I think she'll be all right. What I'm going to try and do is actually go back and try and get around and just see, because they're getting towards the road, and maybe we can get her popping out onto the road again, because she's worth appreciating. So I'm just going to reverse back quickly and just get around as the rest of the herd goes through. The road is right here. It was just with the light I was trying to get her on the right side of the light, but absolutely beautiful elephant. And like I say, when you're in the presence of one of those animals, you realize that you kind of quite insignificant in comparison in many respects, and that there are these sentient beings that are old, that have wandered this area. And like I say, I mean, 50 years is a long time to be out in the bush of Africa. It means that you've done pretty well to be able to survive what goes on out here for that long. She's just crossing the road now. Let's just turn off here so we don't rush them across. But you can see with her size compared to the others just how large she is. She's a big cow. And there's some of the younger ones crossing over the road, and then a rather large cow is going to come over shortly. So it'll give you an idea of just how much bigger this one in front is. Amazing. She's pregnant as well, that individual that just went over, quite heavily so too. Those of you that watch the dam cam, I would pay attention to the dam cam if you want to see this herd. They're heading roughly in that general direction. I'm actually going to go around once again and see if we catch them on the road on the other side, because they should cross here pretty quickly. This block kind of tapers out a little bit, so I don't know how long it's going to take them to get through, but it shouldn't take them long. Just don't feel like crashing around them and disturbing them too much when we can just get them coming through. Faisal, no, I've never seen tusks fall out just due to old age. I mean, they generally die before the tusks fall out, and the reason for that is because they're kind of walking parallel with us now. The reason for that is that their teeth wear down much faster than the tusks. So as that sixth set of teeth wears down completely, then what you get is a situation where they die of starvation before they actually lose their ability to, or their tusks coming out. And it actually takes quite a while. That pulp or that root system of a tusk that's in an elephant and kind of goes way up is long and it's thick. And so even when an elephant dies, particularly in the winter months, the rotting process is slightly longer. It takes a little bit more time. There she goes through there. You'll find that it'll take probably about 12 days for that tusk to loosen enough to actually pull it out. Whereas in summer it's closer to sort of 8 days and you can start removing the tusk from an elephant's head. But yeah, the teeth wear down much faster due to the abrasive nature of the food that they eat, and the tusks aren't being ground like that. And so you find that these guys typically will have their tusks even until death, which is pretty crazy. Actually, when I was on a trip recently in the western sector of the Sabi Sands, there was an elephant that had died, a young bull, and he unfortunately had been stabbed in the stomach by another bull and eventually passed away. But I always forget how incredible elephant carcasses can be from a sightings point of view. You can get the most incredible sightings with elephant carcasses. In that western sector they had, you know, lots of hyenas and vultures as one would expect, but also a huge amount of lion and leopard activity. Maybe not so much lion, but there was a lot of leopard activity. 2 young leopards, Tisela and Hlambela, were both on that carcass for quite a while. So it goes to show that young leopards will often take advantage of elephant carcasses. I find lions in this area are not huge fans of elephant carcasses. They typically don't spend a lot of time kind of feeding on them. But the leopards, if they're particularly young individuals and hunting is hard work, they'll often find them kind of feasting on a on an elephant carcass. Right, let's just keep going. They're kind of walking parallel with the road, unfortunately. They're going to pop straight out, but their general direction is straight towards the dam cam. They should cross this road and then they go up the hill and over the other side, and they should be at the water, so I'm pretty sure that's where they're heading.
Another wonderful guest with us, Sergio Real. Sergio is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I bought a Ticket to Dream because I love Wild Earth. All of the guides have been awesome. We've been watching for years, and it's a favorite part of my day to get to watch the drives. I look forward to seeing lots of leopards.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part of the drive today was definitely an elephant that paid us a visit and came right to our car.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's amazing being on a live drive in Djuma. It's just fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and the animals are even better.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still in Ndlovu Dam and we're busy looking at some impala at the moment. So a while ago, these two impalas were chasing one another. So it's a male that had the intention of still mating with a female. And then there was a second ram that came from the side and he also tried to chase the female and then in return was chased by the ram that we are looking at the moment. So actually the rutting season has come to the end, but these guys still haven't read the guiding manuals. So if we come a little bit towards the left, there's a number of other birds that have also just came into the dam as well. First one is a grey heron, which has just landed here a short while ago. It's one of the larger heron species which we have in South Africa. We also often watch this heron at the edge of the water. We will patiently stand and wait for prey such as fish and frogs to get in striking distance. Unlike many of the smaller herons, which is much more active at feeding by either using strategies such as disturbing the prey or chasing prey. As we still continue towards the left, we also have Egyptian geese, and that is standing at the edge of the water. It's normally a second bird that's around as well. I'm not quite sure where the second bird is today. It was here a short while ago. They often form monogamous pairs where they will mate for life with one another. It's just moving a little bit more to the left now, and then just directly to the left of that Egyptian geese, almost a meter to its left, we can see a water thickney, which is one of the two species of thickneys which we have in South Africa. Got a fairly large-sized water bird, very well coloured, cryptically coloured, making them very difficult to see during the daytime. They tend to be more active at night when they will start feeding. So for those of you that don't know how to separate water as well as spotted thickney from one another, there's a water thickney going to the right. They tend to be slightly smaller, the water thickneys. They generally tend to associate with water, as the name indicates. However, they can move away from water. And you'll notice that they're slightly paler in colour and have a very broad, pale wing bar by which you can identify them. Whereas spotted thickney, which is generally away from water, is much larger and overall darker in coloration. I love thickneys. They produce a lovely sound at night. Quite often we hear them around the dam here. Also quite enjoy them if there's water monitors that's coming to bother them, especially when they've got eggs or chicks. They'll tend to open their wings and then move towards the monitor and push them away from the area. We're going to stay here for a little bit longer and see if there's anything else that comes in, but let's go and see what Lauren is up to.
Lots of updates to tell you. Sorry, Davi. What are you seeing? A woodpecker. Do you still see it? The director and Davi were talking at the same time there, and I just got very discombobulated. Davi, well spotted. I don't know what woodpecker this is yet. On the silver cluster leaf. The most common ones we get out here are the bennets and the bearded. We also get the cardinal, but the bennets and bearded are far sort of more common. I'm going to guess just from the small patch of red that it's the bearded. And obviously this is a long distance visual. Now I just had the most fantastic sighting of our darling Batilda. I'm going to tell you what happened. So we're driving along Gowrie Main. I spot a hyena in the distance, so I race and it disappeared. But we stop on Gowrie Main and I'm looking for Batilda and I just feel this huge shadow descending on us. And and I look, and there's a massive bird of prey flying very, very close to the ground, very low to the ground. I think, oh, you get a fright. These raptors are large, and Marshall Eagle, it's not going to come in the car and get you, but I mean, there's been stories that they actually pick up children from the ground. Huge bird of prey descending. We both look up, and it's Matilda. She's like, how far? Maybe 10 meters above the car. And obviously battaliers are very low flying birds, and she flies very, very low, and she lands for us, and we frame her up perfectly for you. She's chased off by a tawny eagle, a big tawny. And she's not happy with that tawny. I mean, neither would I be. But it was so wonderful to see us, and she swooped right down in front of the car. So Matilda is still alive and well, and she just flew off again, looping round and round in the skies. Wee, wee, wee. Life is great. So I will do my very best to try and show you Matilda this afternoon. But what a drive it's been. I'm hungry. Are you hungry, Dav? He's hungry. We're going to get breakfast. And you guys are going to go over to Tristan.
Well, while Lauren goes and gets breakfast, we're still with our Ellie herd. They've slowly emerged from the thickets and are now kind of coming out. There's an Ellie with a little bit of character in front of us. It's got a little folded ear. It's now being hidden by the charging of the other little ones. But there's one that's got this kind of weird little ear on the right side. It's the one going up the hill there towards its mom. You can see its ear just kind of folds forward rather than back, which is just a slight little cartilage issue, but won't affect that elephant at all. That Ellie will still easily be able to feed and to be able to do everything and keep its body cool. So it's nothing too serious to worry about. But it was quite nice. We had the whole herd that came out, and they just kind of went around us in both sides and sort of plonked past us. It was always very cool when you have Ellies do walk-bys like that. I thoroughly enjoy having them sort of just meander past you, and you can hear the scuffing of their feet and the breathing as they go past. All right, well, we're going to carry on and head home. In the meantime, it sounds like John's got a last-minute surprise, so let's send you across to him.
So we have, in the absolute last few minutes, we have tracked these two beautiful cheetah down. They weren't too far from where the tracks last left the road, so I took a quick walk in, and as you can see, two magnificent male cheetahs to end the morning with. And today's been a great day. It's been a bit of a tough start on our side, just with the cooler weather, but the animals have certainly come out and shown themselves to us. So it's been a great morning. But always a treat to be finding cheetah, and these two in particular, we know them very well in this environment. They are prized for viewing because of their calm demeanor. I would assume that they started walking early this morning, just before the sun was rising. These two particular animals tend to do that quite frequently, and very typical. They'll no doubt be taking a bit of a break now. Obviously, they've been walking, they're nice and warm. Potentially heading to the waterhole a bit later, which is where we thought they might pop out. But what a wonderful way to end a morning safari. With two beautiful, beautiful cats. So obviously we're going to be heading home soon. So thank you to everyone who joined us this morning on our early morning safari. It's always a treat to have everyone watching, and we look forward to seeing you all again this afternoon. enjoy.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone.